Hey everybody, my name is Jay, and this is I Have a Samurai. Today we're going to go over a few online matches that I had with Sandman, who is the most recent Frosty Faustings tournament winner. That he played Siegfried, and he'll be playing Aswell here on the right. I'll be playing Geralt on the left. That was in an earlier build of the game. It's been patched, and try to take these matches with a grain of salt. One, because they're online games, and two, because you can kind of tell he's taking these games to try and work out some of the kinks and the new inconsistencies with his character Aswell. But the main takeaway that I wanted to bring to this video is the changes that have happened with Aswell, but more importantly, the changes that have happened with Geralt, who has gotten a few differences in his frames for some of his attacks that have made him incredibly powerful. And I already thought that he was pretty powerful to begin with. I used to think that this matchup wasn't all that great, where Geralt has to spend a lot of time trying to chase Aswell's backdash, and Geralt doesn't exactly have like the strongest offense in the game. But I'm not so sure all of that is true anymore. So let's get this set started. So I'm going to try, I'm getting like my whiff punish. This is the first thing that has happened, is that Geralt's 6AB will combo naturally now. It doesn't have to necessarily be on counter hit. This is a big deal. This gives him significantly more damage and significantly longer space control that puts an opponent into crouch, either on block or on hit. It changes like what their options are going to be. It's a really powerful move now. It was already kind of powerful, but the fact that you can just throw this out here now until I guess people start GIing it on reaction, I doubt that that's going to be happening all that often in the future, though. I should be ducking that the second hit of that string. There I get a pretty lucky whiff punish. Here is kind of an unfortunate setup that I tend to do a lot, where I will do the 4 KKA into A plus B, which doesn't really work if they get up and sidestep, and it doesn't work if they just tech to the left or right. So it's kind of a bad setup that I should stop doing. Backstep. Now, if I remember correctly, yeah, I get the reversal edge here. And here I'm just trying to like stay at a certain level of a mid-range and do as much whiff punishing as I can. This is another change that happened, is that 3A became a lot better. 3A used to be not necessarily punishable to most characters, but -10 on block. Now it's -8. It used to be not all that good on hit, and now it's +2 on hit. So again, it's another move that has really increased his space control and puts Geralt at a position where he's in front of his opponent doing, maybe not necessarily high damaging mix-ups, but mix-ups nonetheless. So he gets to do a lot more. He gets to be a lot more active. Yeah, I end up missing the 6BB punish, which is a little bit too bad. So here I go for like the A plus B GI into another reversal edge. Now, I'm not entirely sure why he decided to do backstep both times. I think I talked about this in my first game, but when it comes to the reversal edge options for Geralt, out of the B, A, and the K, he wants to do K kind of the least. He gets the least amount of damage, he gets the least amount of a setup because it pushes the opponent really far away. So I don't necessarily agree with the idea that if you're going to go for a hard read as to like something that Geralt is going to do, thinking that he's going to do K is probably the least used option. That would be my guess. So here I'm just trying to like get like my last tiny poke. Also notice that my opponent's already in the yellow. You don't normally think of Geralt when you think of guard gauge damage. Plus I have a ton of meter because of those two reversal edges, so it puts me in a good position. So he's trying to like poke me out. So seeing as how we're just kind of like trading AAs, I decide to, instead of taking my turn to try and like poke him out again, I'll take my turn to increase the guard gauge damage and potentially even go for, if he whiffs a GI on that A plus B, that's practically half health for no meter.
It's a back grab.
So I get my unseeable low. If he techs back, I don't really get anything out of it. Here's that 3A again. This is launcher punishable. And I'll just take it to get my second game. I think I could have wrung him out. The combo ends up killing, but I'm trying to remember the trajectory. I think 4 KKA will ring out in that situation. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't do that. Yeah, I'm getting pretty lucky with a lot of these grabs, too. So a lot of what I'm doing is like a spacing game. Here you see me trying to block the Muscle Buster, and I end up getting hit by the mid. There's a lot of situations that happen with Aswell where it's just essentially a straight-up guess. That's a pretty lazy parry. That was kind of panicky. But, I've got a round to spare. And it doesn't, I already had full meter. So I'm relatively okay with taking that bet. So he seems to want to, stand block a lot. He seems a little bit unfamiliar when it comes to, Geralt setups and frames, so I'm abusing a little bit of stuff. Here you saw that muscle buster didn't work when it was supposed to in the previous patch, so a lot of his spacing is a little bit more heavily projected, where that low is only going to go through the whole animation when he's at a specific range. So if you're not sitting in that range, the low isn't necessarily as scary as it used to be, which in turn means that he has to go out of his way to place himself in a position where it's going to get the full animation, in which case it's a little bit easier to spot if you get used to that kind of thing. Here's another little bit of an inconsistency that was kind of plaguing him during this set. Here I get the GI once I do the plus frames. I notice that he's not moving, which means that the A plus B is, it's going to hit a GI, or it's going to just give me good guard gauge damage. So here I do a soul charge because I have full meter. I'm going to get the meter back if and when I lose. I definitely need a comeback if I'm going to win this round, so I figure I might as well. I don't lose anything out of it. And I mash the parry there because I can kind of see that he's coming in. And again, what with the fact that I've done soul charge, it's pretty much with no meter. It's no cost to me. I've already spent the soul charge. So the fact that he has already spent a soul charge here, I already consider this to be a winning thing. I'm perfectly okay with spending a soul charge, a full bar of meter, that I'm going to get back if I lose. He's not going to get this back if he wins. So I'll go into the last round with a 2-to-1 meter advantage. Here I'm spending the meter, again because I'm in soul charge. Now I'm not, but I'm still going to be spending the meter because now I've gotten him down to 1A range. Using the meter to chip his life bar down to the point where I actually have a mix-up for the win. And that was kind of the idea there. So he definitely seems a little bit unfamiliar with how to deal with Geralt's meter burns. You see me charging forward with that bubble that's going to absorb one hit. As well, not necessarily known for super duper fast double hits unless he's in sword, and then he has that really good AA, but that's about it. And he's not necessarily going to be thinking about that when he's so far away. So I'm getting hit by AA. I mean, as well as AA in sword is still pretty good. I tend to stay on the ground a lot when I deal with Geralt because I don't want to deal with the mix-up. There I thought that I was back-turned, so I tried to do a back-turn B plus K, which is why that roll happened. Here I botched my punish. And I 100% did not want that jump. That was supposed to be a 7-7B to get around the second hit of that attack string, which is another vertical. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. This is another one of Geralt's changes, is that 2-2B. I don't believe the frames got changed all that much, but you get a guaranteed 1 AA when you hit with it. But here, I decided to go for a 4A, which gives me the full counter hit combo if he tries to tech up after he gets hit by the 2-2B. So he gets a lot of added damage and stuff, and so it makes, the move was frankly kind of useless before, and I still think that it's only used very rarely just because it's still relatively slow and it still doesn't exactly have the widest hitbox, and so 6BB is still your go-to vertical, but still it's it's an added move that you get to have a little bit more fun with Geralt. He decides to continue to charge in. This is one other thing that I should try to mention. I remember talking with Linkors about this, where he had mentioned that when it comes to how to deal with this matchup, Geralt versus Aswell, the 1AA string, Geralt actually, or Aswell actually can't punish that at all unless he's in the sword stance. So if you're dealing with a mix-up-y kind of Aswell, where he's an axe, then you can kind of do that to get in more often than not. You can just do 1AA to try and get your just force the issue and try to get in. So it kind of limits the situation of constantly trying to chase Aswell's backdash.
Oh, that's safe. I could have sworn that was negative.
So he ends up catching me there twice. I think I was mashing.
That's a game changer.
Here I end up doing the wall rising BB to punish the muscle buster, which is actually not the proper punish. I should have done 6 BB. I just never think of it quickly in time. So I'm getting kind of washed up in this second game. I'm not even necessarily guessing wrong on the mix-ups. I'm just taking more damage than I was in the first game, predominantly because I'm running into stuff a lot more. So I'm just getting caught trying to get in, which is one of the issues that Geralt's going to have in this matchup. There's that 6AB again. Into 1K, into 2A, into more pressure. Like, Geralt is such a more sticky kind of character. This is one moment that I want to mention, is that he ended up doing that string that puts him plus on block. And you might remember in the first game that I did a GI, which eventually, and later on in the game, it ended up winning me the round. And so now he's not necessarily taking advantage of his frame advantage. So I'm taking that moment to step. He's stepping with me, but it's still like a situation that could have been worse for me that now is relatively okay. We'll have to see if he ends up challenging that in the future.
That's the one I'm pissed about.
There he doesn't duck the second hit of the AA. Here I sidestep again, and he also doesn't punish that. He may not necessarily have the opportunity to. There's another ring out. Geralt's grabs actually, both his side grab and his forward grab do have decent ring out potential. So it's not just the parry that gives him a heavy amount of ring out stuff.
That should work.
See, there we're stepping again. We're not. I think he's worried about the parry, which is why he's not necessarily taking advantage of his plus frames. That and the fact that the first time he did it, I ended up GIing. Nice. He got the block, but he didn't get any kind of punish. See, there, puts himself in that situation, but then he ends up doing the low.
Teleport.
I'm kind of in the same situation as I was before, where like I kind of need the meter in order to launch any kind of comeback. This was kind of unfortunate. In Soul Charge, Geralt gets 6A-B-B as like a natural combo, but for some reason the second B didn't come out there, which ended up allowing Aswell to get into a Soul Charge, which is pretty bad news, and then he ends up doing that. So I noticed that a lot of Aswell players do that kind of like sword throw move into the launcher right after they activate Soul Charge, or when the opponent activates Soul Charge, and I guess it kind of like locks the opponent up because it's so long, and it does have pretty thick hitboxes. So maybe one of the things is to, because it's going to be unsafe, so you might, want to try and block right after he as well activates Soul Charge, or at least in my case, I can just start doing a parry. That might be a little bit too ambitious, so to speak, just to have my Aswell opponent activate Soul Charge and I'm so far away at +8 and just doing like a random parry, but, what are you going to do? As you've probably seen in my gameplay, I'm not necessarily devoid of random parries just for the sake of a level of a random factor to throw my opponent off. So I just need to, what I remember trying to think is that, like, I am simply running into way too many things here. I have when I'm at slight frame advantage or at neutral, he's either throwing out the Muscle Buster or he's catching me with AAs or that ducking shield move. So I have to get used to, like, spacing out a little bit better or getting in more confidently and more often without taking a lot of damage in the follow-through. So here I'm trying to like the spacing kind of thing. I'm just going to take my 1Ks as I hit him, as I block the AAs. There I don't get my proper punish again. My punishes aren't that great. That's one of the other things that I have to work on.
I am getting a lot of people blocking it.
So after I block the run-up axe move, a lot of Aswell players like to backdash after that, but as I think I mentioned in the first video that I had with Geralt, is that 6BB is an incredible backdash killer, so I end up trying to do sidestep stuff like horizontals to catch his sidestep after that move instead, seeing as how more often than not Aswell doesn't want to backdash anymore.
That's how you get swords out now.
So, like, kind of like what I said before, I didn't realize that 1AA has gotten a lot better in this most recent patch. I could be using it a lot more here. I wasn't aware. But something that I should mention is that 1A, just regular 1A with no follow-up, used to be -10 on hit. Now it's -4. That's gigantic. That's just as gigantic as 6AB being a natural combo and 3A being, like, much better. The fact that it's -4 on hit means that regular 1A, which is a relatively unseeable low that catches step and is really long and everything, into parry to beat out somebody mashing is a real thing now because it's -4 rather than -10. And if 1A into parry is a real thing, that means 1AB is a real thing, which means you can actually use that string a lot more often, and you don't have to, it's a more legitimate mix-up now because the frames are a lot better. These kinds of moves being a lot better, like 6AB and 3A being a lot better, means that he has significantly better space control, and he gets to build up a lot more momentum and put himself in situations where he gets to do 1K and more throws to, like, establish more of an aggressive momentum, But now that 1A is also like a legitimate like low mix-up on its own, means that he has mix-up power when he's in as well. This character is so much more sticky, and his damage is a lot more profitable. Like, it's kind of crazy. Like, I think Geralt might have potentially become like top 5 in the game because he was already pretty good, you know? There, I think he tries to mash because, normally speaking, generally speaking, most people when you block the reversal edge K option, the opponent is right in front of your face, and you can actually punish with like an AA or something like that. And very much not the case with Geralt. It pushes out really, really far. So it's something that you can catch people up on a lot in this, with Geralt if they've never played against the character. So I got kind of lucky on that whiff, which ends up solidifying the round. There I go for a little bit too easy to spot back turn B plus K. I have to stop doing that as often. I think I mentioned that in my last video too. And there you see that he ends up hitting me with the launcher because I'm going to continue to roll on the ground no matter what in that situation. I would rather just eat the muscle buster or the mid just to get away from any kind of mix-ups so that he doesn't get any of the further animation or the further damage. Because I'll just eat that. And in that situation, like, I end up doing a lot of A plus B kinds of things because I think he's going to, like, stay in place. But, Sandman is virtually always sidestepping, so I have to get used to the fact that, like, I have to deal with my opponent as if he's going to be sidestepping all the time. So seeing as how that was the case, I end up immediately going for something that will catch sidestep here. And like I said, that's going to be, like, launcher punishable. I feel like there's a chance that I could have gotten a ring out there, where I go 3B into 6B plus K, but I just wasn't thinking that. I think I felt it was a little bit too far. I'm not 100% sure. So kind of like what I was saying there, like, he doesn't have the same kind of mix-up power because of the difference in the ranges that low works. So kind of like I was saying before, when Azul puts himself at good frame advantage, normally Azul players like to backdash, so it opens up an opportunity to do a 6BB. And even if he blocks it, I'm totally okay with it, which is how like the last round ended.
I could have 3B'd. I ducked.
So catching him with pokes, catching him with more pokes. There he's sidestepping again, but I'm silly.
I'm at neutral there, though.
And I keep doing the A plus B. And there we go. Kind of what was the story of a lot of situations in this set was that he would put himself at frame advantage. The first time he did it, I GI'd, and I think it kind of spooked him to the point where we were constantly sidestepping afterwards until the last game he ended up doing exactly that, the muscle buster, after putting himself at plus frames, because I was constantly sidestepping, which opened up an opportunity to do a parry, and I ended up winning the round. But yeah, I think Geralt is secretly a massively powerful character in this game, even more so than I was saying or anyone was saying before. I think these extra hitboxes, these extra frames, all this extra stuff gets him much more powerful. And I think he's really going to be an impressive character to look at in the future, especially as the meta gets more and more aggressive and you're seeing more Talum, more Maxi, more Yoshimitsu, like all these characters that rely on really fast, short-range moves. Geralt is going to be, should be, a much more popular character. And the only reason why he wouldn't be is because he is still pretty massively boring to play. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, thanks very much.